that the track is going to hold up. Guys are going to be able to do a lot, especially the 250 guys. They're going to be able to do things early on in the race that they might not be able to do later in the race because the track is really wet and it has a lot of ruts. When I did the track walk for the VIPs after press day, I couldn't believe how many ruts were in the corners. It was like being at an East Coast round. So I think that's going to be the challenge.
In between the obstacles too. Kind of those cuts in the triples.
Do they just water it then?
Yeah, which they had to. It was being sunny and going to get a little warm. They probably didn't want to loose the track.
So, and how quickly did that come around? How quickly did the track come around?
What do you mean as far
Like dry out?
Oh, it'll be baked probably by 2:30, 3.
Yeah.
They'll be adding water in between big time. I think it'll dry out.
Jet Lawrence, we were talking to Jet Lawrence. He's like, man, the track is really notchy. I said, welcome to Supercross. I said, dude, it's never going to be, majority of the time, it's going to feel like that.
It's not going to feel like the Honda track that's hard pack and blue groove.
And just, so that's why you want to ride your test track backwards sometimes because it doesn't flow as well. Not very many racetracks you go to, you know how it is, Daniel, where the transitions are perfect and they flow well.
Well, that's the thing too, right? Is they'll spend a lot of time setting their bikes up on these tracks that have just perfect lips, and then to come out here and everything's abrupt, and they're like, my bike don't feel right. It's like, that's real. That's a racetrack.
Notchy.
Notchy, is that Jet's word? Notchy.
Yeah, that's what I used to say. It's like, dude, it's so notchy, and basically, so you have a takeoff, and then the transition right here isn't nice and round. It's like this. So you're just like, douche.
He's got a house. It's quite funny. He's got a house that he's rented in Florida, close to Hunter. And he hasn't even seen it yet. His mom's there and stuff. Whenever he won't get to see it for another 6 weeks or so, he's like, I don't know. I think it's good. He's good.
I think it's there. There's a house.
Yeah. I know. It's kind of crazy that at his age he's living like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting to the viewer. Like they're still kids, you know. They're athletes. They're out here. They're performing on this big stage. But he's still a 16-year-old kid who spent the first Christmas of his life away from
especially him. You can't.
Yeah.
16, you can't sell enough. No.
Yeah.
Right.
Zach,
With him too.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The way he rides makes him look older. He's very sound.
Yeah.
So if you don't take the helmet off, you don't realize that he is a kid. Even the Geico guys have told me they've had to rein him in because he just acts like a kid still, and he'll goof around the shop, distract the mechanics, and so they even said, don't let the way he rides fool you. He's still a work in progress on getting him to understand how to be professional and how to grow up a little bit. But they like the life he brings, but they are trying to keep it in control.
Yeah. Sure. And maybe there's not a real answer for it. Maybe the real answer is just it's the opening race of the year, and everybody.
I think that what you have to do in Anaheim is you have to hold back your eagerness, and you really have to look ahead and not get caught up in the moment because that's where it'll hurt you. And you have to fire and strike at the right time, and not get caught up in the game. The emotions running through your body when that gate drops, the fans are going crazy. You haven't raced in months for the guys that haven't raced in Europe in the off-season races, so you have to do your best to control that feeling and not let it get the best of you and crash, and be there at the end, and not get caught up in the excitement. That was my approach. That's what I think you need to do.
From a fellow Hall of Famer yesterday, Ricky Johnson said to me, Diff, this is the way that I always treated this. He goes, I kind of getting tired of listening to all these guys saying, oh, you can't win the championship here, but he said, that is just total BS. He said, I approach this race as, on this day, on this gate, we are currently all tied for first. Right? So who am I going to make second? He said that's the way I went into it.
Yeah, and that's awesome to hear that because that's completely different than my approach.
So I'm thinking of bag it on a kind of a non-racing note. It was quite funny when I was chatting with Tomac there. He said that him and Blake were talking for like an hour yesterday during media day, and he said it was all about kids. And he said he was standing there going, am I really having this conversation?
No.
I thought it was pretty funny where he's just like, he's not even there yet, and he's talking diapers and this. And Blake, I think, was when we were chatting to him. Oh, you were there yesterday. I was chatting to him, and he's like, oh, the bottles and this and that, and he sleeps this much, and he's so into it. And the idea that those two were standing there for an hour, and none of it was race talk,
That's
and
good.
it was an entire. It was extremely funny.